video, I discussed how to bring up polyamory with your partner. That was geared more so to people that are in long-term or monogamous relationships currently. I kind of discussed the steps in which me and my wife took when we decided to go become polyamorous. The research that we did, when she let me date alone for the first year, then the second year we dated together as a couple, and then now we date separately. And I kind of go over what basically mostly the cons of what happened in dating alone, dating together, and dating separately was like. So in this video, what I brought up was whether or not we have a hierarchy. Meaning, do I consider my wife to be my primary partner, and anybody else that comes in the picture, are they considered secondary? And I briefly discussed kind of my feelings towards those labels, and what I would consider myself and my wife to be as far as hierarchies go. So today in this video, I wanted to talk about whether or not me and my wife share our experiences with each other. Like I said, the first year was all about me. My wife wasn't dating anybody. She felt like she had the experiences that she wanted before she met me, and I felt like before we met I didn't. And so she gave me the freedom to explore for myself, and so I did go on dates, and when I came back from those dates, a lot of times I would say how I felt about the person. Was it a good experience? You know, the interesting things that they had told me about themselves, and whether or not I was hoping to see that person again, or hoping that they'll want to see me again. And then in the second year, when we dated as a couple with other couples, of course we were both there during the experience. Maybe sometimes we would say, I really liked what this person did, maybe we should try that together. Or we would say, find out if we're both on the same level of how much we feel, emotionally feel like a connection for the couple that we're dating. We also, expressed our conflicts with each other which happened a lot when you're dating as a couple, at least for me and my wife. When you're dating as a couple and you both fancy somebody, or both of you like the same person, it can kind of turn into a competition, and that you don't want that. But my wife and I would have discussions about why we acted a certain way, or why we, we'd call each other out on the things that we would do in order to be with that person instead of them being with that person. And it just wasn't a good time for us. It just kind of brought out some bad characteristics that we both don't appreciate in ourselves. And so we've decided that it's just so much easier and so much healthier for our relationship and for ourselves and for others if we just date separately. So I mentioned in the last video that it was difficult. Polyamory can be very difficult, especially when you're starting out, because especially if you've been monogamous with somebody for such a long time, and this is something new to you, seeing your partner with somebody else, or imagining your partner with somebody else, can really bring you down. At least it brought me down, because I feel like polyamory is a good way for you to figure out what you personally, and also what your partner, is insecure about, which sucks, but it's also a blessing in disguise, because you get to realize You get to see where you need to grow as an individual. You get to see why you get to question yourself as to why do I feel the way I do about my wife kissing somebody else? Is it because I'm afraid that that person is better than me? Am I jealous? Do I want it to be me instead of my wife being with them? There's a lot of reasons that you might not know at first what the reason is for why you feel sad or bitter or just giving cold shoulders and angry. Just you'll figure it out. But take it slow. And be patient with yourself and be patient with your partner. And don't be so quick to anger or to resentment or to sadness. Of course, you're going to feel some of these things, and some of us feel them more often than others. The experience is going to be different for everybody, but you most likely, and I would be very surprised if it didn't happen, if you started polyamory and you were just happy 100% of the time. Because even in monogamous relationships, if your boyfriend or girlfriend looks at somebody else, some of us react in such a way like, oh my gosh, why are they looking at them? And the same thing is true in polyamory, but things are actually happening in polyamory. Your partner is on a date and you think they might sleep with that person that night. A lot can go in your mind as to like what they're feeling, and so that can be scary, that can be upsetting, it can be nerve wracking, but it will pass. And the more you communicate with your partner about how you're feeling and things that you're insecure about, that will definitely help you both get stronger together as a couple, and to be able to also it helps you to see what your partner needs in order to feel secure while you're out doing, dating somebody else. It also helps you as a partner to see where you need to pick up being able to provide more love and affection and security to your partner. Of course, you can't do all of it. If they're having an issue, that is something that they also need to work on for themselves, but you can't be upset with them. You need to be patient with them, because if it was you, I would certainly hope that you would want them to be patient with you as well, and to be caring and take into consideration your needs. Neither of you want to pull the rug out from the other and say, I don't want you to see this person anymore. Especially when there's not really when the only reason is because you're insecure about it. Because then if you don't get past that point, you're never going to have relationships with anybody. It's always going to be you insecure. So as time goes along, you'll start to come up with rules and boundaries for each other, for your relationship and for each other, as to what you can and cannot do when you go out dating, or what's allowed. So for example, one of the things that me and my wife had as a rule when we first started dating, or when we first started being polyamorous, was that we couldn't have anyone spend the night at our house. That was our rule, and it was our rule for probably like a year or more. But it kind of seemed, once you've been being polyamorous and dating somebody for a while, it kind of, things change. You evolve, you adapt, you find that having somebody sleeping in your bed where you and your wife lay is not necessarily as bad as you imagine it the first time you think about somebody else in your bed, sleeping with your wife, or being intimate, or loving them. All of that can be way overwhelming in the beginning. But if you've been doing it as long as I have, which has been like 3 years, still not easy, but it's much easier than day one. So one of the things that you'll want to do, and I know this video was about, and it still is about experiences. I know, but I know originally I was going to talk about, we talk about dating and just kind of keep it there, but I feel like we really should discuss feelings and emotions and how to kind of work with each other in the beginning, because it is very difficult. Um, there were plenty of nights where I cried. There were plenty of nights where my wife cried. There were, it's a learning experience, and I really can't. All I can tell you is that you just need to be patient with one another and patient with yourself, and be self-aware of your own feelings and being able to identify them as sadness, anxiety, uncertainty, whatever that feeling that you have is, and trying to name it, and then try to figure out why you're having that feeling. And then working on it from there. Work on it together as partners, because your partner can do some work to help you feel better about the situation, but in the end, most of the time, it's us. It's ourselves that need to do some work on being more secure in ourselves and our ability as a partner, and trusting that our partner is being 100% honest with us, that they're telling us the truth when they say how much they love us, because there's only so much that they can do. They can't continue, like, it's nice for them to say I love you every day, but it's not realistic for every couple seconds for them to reassure you by saying I love you constantly. That's just not healthy. And we should be able to be independent individuals with or without our partner. I'm not saying get rid of your partner, just saying that when your partner is off with another person, that we should be able to feel a level of comfortability with being with ourselves and with them doing their own thing. So let's get back on track. So when my wife goes on a date, how much information do we share with each other? So that really depends. We don't go into depth about sex with each other pertaining to what we're doing with our other partners. We might hint at our experience and how great it was, or how not great it was, but we don't go into great detail about what the other person did. It's not respectful for you to discuss them in such detail with your partner, especially if your partner doesn't give you the okay to do so, to talk about your sexual experiences. It would be the same idea as if you got a nude and your friend asked if you could see it. Some of you probably just go ahead and show, but it is probably the best idea not to. You probably should ask that person's permission, and probably is not the right word. You definitely should ask that person who gave you the picture, or the person that you're having sex with, if you can share that information with other people. Because you wouldn't want someone else to do it to you. And if you are okay with somebody doing that to you, well, not everybody is you. That's all I can say. Another thing is, do we meet each other's partners? There has been, that really depends. If they are dating for more than a month, then yes, definitely I see them. Not always. There's been a couple cases where people are way out of town or something, and they just never come to our house, or I just don't end up getting to meet them. But most cases, if they are dating, and it looks like it's going in the direction of a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever matchup may be, kind of relationship, then I do get to meet them. not that I get to meet them, we all want to meet each other, usually. I think that it is very telling if you don't. I mean, okay, at first you may not necessarily want to see the person that your partner is with. That can be a bit of a challenge in the beginning. And sometimes it still can be, but not so much. It's usually in the beginning. In the beginning, if you don't have like 100% confidence in yourself, which most of us, pretty much everybody doesn't, it's totally normal for you to not right away want to meet your partner's new partner or partners. It, but in at this stage in our relationship and being polyamorous for over 3 years, I feel like it's a necessity. It's something that I want to do. I want to meet my wife's partners. I want to have a good relationship with them. I think having a good relationship with your partner's partners is very adult. I think it's very healthy, and I feel like it helps everybody. It helps everyone to be happy and help everyone to be able to communicate with each other. If you're feeling bitter towards somebody or you feel jealousy or envy towards your partner's partner, you definitely would need to work that out because that isn't healthy to try to go years or months even with that kind of feeling towards a person that is in your life in some matter. Um, if you had a partner and okay, let's say you have a wife or husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, if you're dating somebody now and you start dating another person, you would probably want your current relationship, the person you're with, to be happy for you, to be supportive, to um, to just really be hopeful for you that it goes well and that it lasts as long as you want it to, and that it goes in the direction that you are hoping it will go. So if you are hoping that your partner will be that kind of person for you, it's pretty safe to say that your partner also wants you to be supportive of them and to be there for them and have goodwill towards them about where their relationship is going. I'm not saying right away that you're going to feel that way. No, you're probably not. Like I said, it's always going to be in the back of your mind. And even if you weren't polyamorous, your your entire life is about growing and constantly evolving, constantly adapting to new situations, and hopefully working on bettering yourself. Um, always. No one's perfect, so even if you weren't doing polyamory, you're still going to be making changes. But because we're talking about polyamory, the first year, I'm gonna keep emphasizing this, the first year or so is gonna be difficult. Probably maybe not a whole year, maybe just the first few months. Some of us move a little faster than others. But it's okay. Go at your own pace. If you're feeling down, keep checking in with each other, checking in with yourself, and just trying to figure out how can you guys get over this hurdle? How can you guys work this out so that way you can continue to have a healthy experience? Always going to be bumps in the road, but try to work together with your partner, and sometimes even with your partner's partners, try to work out what will smooth that road out. And when I say this, working with your partner's partners, um, there's been some cases where I felt really insecure in myself, and I needed, it wasn't just enough for my wife to tell me that she would do certain things to help me feel better about the situation. And this can only go on for so long. If you keep on trying to dictate people's relationships, or if you keep trying to make everyone please you or make life easier for you, then you're not growing. You're just holding everyone else back. And we want to do this all together. We don't want to hold anyone back. We want to work as a group, and also work individually on our own growth. But we need to be able to grow with one another. But when I had trouble in the past about my own insecurities, sometimes I needed to talk with my wife's partner about what was making me insecure or what I didn't like, or having them kind of slow down just temporarily so I can catch up with my own feelings, because sometimes it's just a little too much. And it's very sweet and respectful if they can be accommodating and slow things down for you. But at some point, you need to be able to let them move forward, or you and your partner need to discuss whether or not this is a relationship that can proceed. Of course, hopefully it is one that can proceed, but maybe there's something that, maybe there's something unhealthy about that other person that's making you uncomfortable. There's a lot of different reasons. And we're going to wrap it up for today. I'm going on a little bit. But I would like to hear from you guys as to what you want me to discuss in the next video. So, as always, feel free to follow me at Tempting Saitan on Instagram, or you can message me here on YouTube in the comments below, or you can send me a message or a comment on Instagram. Feel free to share your curiosity with me about polyamory, and I will do my best to answer your questions and make going polyamorous, if that's your interest, be a much smoother, easier ride than how it was for me. So I guess I'll see you guys next time.